ambil penuh dengan kejujuran dan keikhlasan sebagai bentuk pengabdian kami. Ya Allah, bless the speaker and the moderator of this event, so that every word becomes alive, that thoughts heard for the education, society, our nation, and our beloved country. Ya Allah, please also bless also the committee who has prepared this forum, the participants who attend with great enthusiasm, so that all their efforts become a goodness in your. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adzabannar. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. We hope this prayer be beneficial for all and thank you for your attention. Billahi taufik wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you. Miss Elka.
Thank you, Mr. Gali Wicaksono, for the prayer. And next, I will share of the icma warta that will be kindly, operator can help me to share the material. All right. Okay. Mawarta. Icma weekly insight that together we in unity, synergize, and collaboration. So next. So first, we're appreciate for the speaker that will be sharing a knowledge for today event, and also we appreciate for all the committee who has prepared today webinars, and appreciate for the participants who are taking a part in today webinars. So next, in this webinars, we have some door prize. Okay. So that have a chance to win an exciting door prize for this active participant that will be active for today. There have be fill out the attendance link first, and also have to fill out the evaluation links after this webinar. And so the door prize will be drawn during the ICMA 4th anniversary celebration. So for the participant to active in this webinar. And next.
Halo Sobat Cendekia, mari ikuti rangkaian kegiatan sepekan bersama ICMA yang akan berlangsung mulai Sabtu, tanggal 9 Agustus tahun 2025 hingga Sabtu, tanggal 16 Agustus tahun 2025. Berikut jadwal lengkapnya. Sabtu, tanggal 9 Agustus tahun 2025, pukul 7.30 waktu Indonesia Barat, topik webinar, Rahasia Desain Riset Studi Kasus dan Fenomenologi untuk Wawasan Mendalam, dengan narasumber, Dr. Putu Sukma Kurniawan. Sabtu, tanggal 9 Agustus tahun 2025, pukul 10 waktu Indonesia Barat, topik kuliah tamu internasional, Diversity in CFO Leadership, Its Strategic Role in Enhancing Sustainable Investment Decisions in the Digital Era, dengan narasumber, Dr. F. Fizal Abdul Wahab. Minggu, tanggal 10 Agustus tahun 2025, pukul 8 waktu Indonesia Barat, topik webinar, Mixed Methods 4.0, pendekatan gabungan yang lebih fleksibel untuk penelitian multidisipliner, dengan narasumber, Nitri Mirosea, SE, MSI, MAAC, CFE, PhD. Rabu, tanggal 13 Agustus tahun 2025, pukul 18.30 waktu Indonesia Barat, topik webinar, riset kualitatif untuk peneliti pemula menuju publikasi Scopus, memahami dan menafsirkan makna di balik data, dengan narasumber, Mirna Amiria, SE, MSA, PhD, AK, CAM, AAPA, AAPB. Sabtu, tanggal 16 Agustus tahun 2025, pukul 7.30 waktu Indonesia Barat, topik webinar, Unlocking Meaning, Metodologi Hermeneutika untuk Penelitian Mendalam dan Inspiratif, dengan narasumber, Dr. Ari Kamayanti, SE, MSA. Jumat dan Sabtu, 10-11 Oktober tahun 2025, pukul 13 waktu Indonesia Barat dan pukul 7.30 waktu Indonesia Barat, topik konferensi internasional, Integrative Insight into Digital Innovation, Ethical Governance, and Intersectionality in Advancing Authentic Sustainability Reporting, From Regulatory Compliance to Corporate Consciousness, dengan narasumber, Profesor Dr. Susela Devi Kasupiah, Profesor Dr. Maria Widyastuti, Associate Profesor June Chao, Profesor Cindy Yoshiko S., Profesor Teresia Dwiha, Associate Profesor Hairul Anwar K. Jangan lewatkan kesempatan untuk memperkaya wawasan dan jaringan akademikmu. Sampai jumpa di kegiatan ICMA.
Alright, so everyone can follow many webinars again from the ICMA, so you have to attention for follow the from Instagram also ICMA, and also have international conference that you can be joined. So please come and also join another many webinar from ICMA. So now let me share the webinar rule for today's session. Okay, during the webinars, all the participants keep microphone mute unless during the question and answer sessions. And also for the camera, that optional to on but maintain appropriate background or also the appearance. And also no screen sharing without a house permissions. And also participant use the polite and professional language in the chat. And ask question via chat or raise hand feature as a directed. And also stay relevant to the topics. And for the security, so do not share the Zoom link with others and no authorized recordings. And also for the certificate requirements, so participant can complete the registration and attendance forms, attend minimum 18% of the event durations, and also fill out the evaluation form at the end. And certificate sent to email within 14 working days. Attendance link shared during the sessions and letters. Okay. Next, we will move to the main sessions. Before we move to the main sessions, let me introduce our moderator today's. Okay, for the operator, can help me to sharing the CV. All right. So it's my pleasure to introduce our moderators today, Mr. Aloysius Harimukti, SA and SAK PhD. Dr. Mukti holds as a bachelor degree in accounting from Universitas Widyatama and a bachelor degree in law from Universitas Trisakti. He earned his master in accounting science in Universitas Indonesia and also completed his PhD in business management from Philippine Christian University. Currently, Dr. Mukti serves as a lecturer at Universitas Bayangkara, Jakarta Raya. He is also as an assessor for Lamemba Accreditation and serves as an audit committee member at a PT Turbo Daya Mekanika. So, with his extensive academic background and professional experience, Dr. Mukti is well qualified to moderate our discussions today. So, welcome, Dr. Mukti, and good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Helga. Good
Yeah.
morning to all audience.
Okay, Dr. Mukti, time is yours. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Shall we begin our session? Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great honor and pleasure that I welcome you all today International Guest Lecture held in celebration of 4th anniversary of ICMA. I am Aloysius Harimukti and I will serve you as moderator for this morning session. This theme of today's lecture is diversity in CFO leadership, its strategic role in enhancing sustainable investment decision in digital era. In today's fast-moving and interconnected world, CFO are not only expected to manage financial health, but also to play strategic role in driving sustainability, ethical investment, and long-term value creation. The presence of diverse leadership at CFO level, in terms of gender, background, and expertise, add a crucial layer of insight and integrity to corporate decision-making. We are truly honored to have with us Dr. Ewazel Aswadi Abdul Wahab from Curtin University, Australia, a highly respected scholar in the field of accounting, auditing, and corporate governance. Before we begin, allow me to share a brief introduction of our distinguished speaker. Shall I share the CV or Faisal, or is it part from committee will share the CV?
There's no need to share the CV. It's okay. The CV is too long, isn't it? So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So, Dr. Faisal Aswadi Abdul Wahab is currently a senior lecturer at the School of Accounting, Economic and Finance, Curtin University, Australia. He holds a PhD in Accounting and Finance from the University of Auckland, New Zealand, where he focused on corporate governance, reform, and institutional investor behavior. Dr. Faisal has taught extensively at both undergraduate and postgraduate level in Malaysia, New Zealand, and Australia, covering topics such as auditing, risk assessment, business valuation, and contemporary accounting. He has received multiple awards for excellence in both research and teaching. His scholarly contribution include over 40 peer-reviewed journal articles with notable publications such as in Auditing, a journal practice of theory, Journal of International Accounting Research and Management and Organizations Review. In addition, he has supervised numerous PhD students, actively participated in international conferences, and served as an editorial reviewer for top-ranked journal. He worked widely cited with a current H index of 22 on a Google Scholar. So good morning, Dr. Faisal. You will have 30 minutes for your presentations. And to our audience, please feel free to send your question in the Zoom chat box at any time. And you may also ask questions directly during the Q&A session at the end by using the raise hand feature. Now, with further ado, let us warmly welcome our speaker, Dr. Faisal. The screen is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning. I hope you guys, I hope everyone can hear me clearly.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. So I'll share my screen. So I'm not sure how this thing is gonna work. Let me just try to. Okay. All right. Now. Okay. Can you see me now? Can you see the presentation? Sorry.
It's still processing, Doctor. Okay, we can see all the presentation, Doctor.
Okay, alhamdulillah. All right. Good. Actually, it's a good afternoon here in Australia. So it's 12. I think it's probably the same time as in Bali, but I think it's probably an hour advance than in Jakarta. So, but nevertheless, a very good day to everyone. And I would like to say thank you to ICMA for the lovely invitation for today's event. Before we begin, I have a few caveats that I really want to mention to the audience, that this particular presentation is an empirical paper. So it's not it's our research work at the moment. It's a working paper which I recently presented in Bali, probably about a month ago, if I can recall correctly, about a month ago, in a conference. So I have presented this work 3 times. This is going to be the 4th time I'm presenting this paper. This paper is not currently under review in any journal, but I think it's relatively interesting, especially when it comes to the context of the institutional setting that I'm going to present. Okay, now, okay, sorry. Okay, can you see the change, right? Can you see the new page, right?
Yes, this is in the new page, Doctor.
Yeah. Okay. So sorry, because I'm working with 2 screens here, so I'm just trying to figure out which one is which one. So, okay, now, the title of this paper is CFO Gender and Ethnicity, Intersectional Influences on Investment Efficiency. It's actually co-authored with Professor Jenny Sao from Queensland Institute of Technology and Dr. Ismail Zira Ismail at University of Science Malaysia. So Janice is actually my supervisor back at University of Auckland. Isma is one of the co-authors, my current co-authors in several of our work in terms of CFO, female CFO. Okay, now, this paper is actually this work pertaining to CFO gender is a current study. Is actually a spin-off work or extension from an earlier paper written by Ismail Zira and myself, published in Military Accountancy and Accountancy Research in 2024. So the reviewer and editor wanted us to expand the paper by looking at the ethnicity of the CEO. So, but when we mentioned to the editor and the reviewer saying that the inclusion of the ethnicity of CPO will eventually make the paper too long, and hence we have to prepare. We are open to the idea of preparing a new paper. So and hence this is what we have done. So the current paper actually benefited from a early discussion with one of our professor in terms of methodology. I'm going to discuss about that in later. And I have also prepared the paper based on comments received from UWA research seminar, and also we received from the mid-year JCAE 2025 conference. Okay, now, so what is actually what do we offer from this particular set of research, from this research? So we offer two main research questions. So the main research question is very simple. So what is the relationship between female CFOs and investment efficiency? And whether the ethnicity of the female CFOs moderates the relationship between female CFOs and investment efficiency. So here, if you look at this particular two sets of questions, so this is where we suggest the intersectional theory. I'm going to look into that later, but so we are saying that there are specific identities in a particular individual that would impact various corporate outcomes. So in this particular case is investment efficiency. So a particular CFO or CEO or any director, so any individual, so there are specifically unique identities that representing them. Then how would those identities, the identities here, would impact investment efficiency? So we have chosen female, or which is gender, and ethnicity. Okay, ethnicity of the female CFO. Okay, so of course there are various other identities that we could use in terms of identifying someone. So most often is the gender and also ethnicity. There are also circumstances where they have used religion, social background as well, education. So these are other probably unique identities that could be used in relation to identifying the impact of these unique identities to investment, to a corporate outcome, in which this case is investment efficiency. Okay, now, so what we have found actually, so we found that there is a positive relationship between female CFOs and investment efficiency, meaning that if a firm appoints a female CFO, then there's an increase in investment efficiency. Okay, there's an increase in investment efficiency. Now, the positive relationship between female CFOs and investment efficiency is weaker if the ethnicity of the CFO is actually Bumiputera. So I'm going to talk a little bit regarding the characteristics of the Malaysian context. Okay, we test for various institutional characteristics. We test for Bumiputera majority board. We test also for non-Bumiputera majority board, and we test also for political connections. So these are basically the circumstances that we think that would impact the relationship between female CFOs or female Bumiputera CFOs and investment efficiency. Okay, and investment efficiency. Now, So what is actually our contribution in this research? So first, we contribute to the corporate diversity, especially on how intersectional identities matter. So gender and ethnicity, and we utilize the institutional background. Okay, we're going to talk about institutional background in the next slide. Extending studies that test them in isolation. So instead of testing them in isolation, we test them together. We test them together. Now, second, we contribute to the political connections literature. We show that political connections can also neutralize the benefits of leadership diversity. And third, practical and policy implication. Policy implication. Okay, now, all right, now if you could kita ni so I can speak Malay, right? So I can speak slightly. Kita serumpun, so okay, we speak the same language, well, similar language. And then, but our background is very, very different. Our institutional background is very different. So this is the Malaysian background. So I'm gonna just talk a little bit regarding the Indonesian background as well. So we want to capitalize on the various ethnic groups in Malaysia. So in terms of the Malaysian political scene, and eventually integrated part of the capital market via decision-making process has always been based on ethnicity ground. So if you're familiar with apa ni, so for example, dasar pecahan perintah, for example, in Malaysia, whereby they start to segregate the ethnic groups into into several uh, industries. I would say that. So they will start there, and they are also, but the concern is always the 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 context of the Malaysian government making decision based on ethnicity grounds. Whether it is a positive or a negative impact, that remains a question. So I don't want to touch into that because it's always remained a question. Okay, so that's why, for example, Gomez and Jomo in 1999 suggests that this particular set of what you call that set of um, policy is a form of affirmative actions. Affirmative actions. And if you read this particular paper in 2004 by White, which shows that role of ethnic groups pre-independence and before the establishment of new economic policy in 1971. So White in 2004 is they are very interesting. They say that excuse me. They say that the various ethnic groups in Malaysia before the establishment of a new economic policy in 1971 and after independence, they do work together. They do work together. So they have a common goal. They manage to work together because their idea is always has to do with the development of the country. So this is what is allegedly mentioned by White in 2004. So there's been some changes in 1971 because of wealth disparity between primarily two ethnic groups, the Malay and the Malay Bumi Malays, and also the Malaysian Chinese. So there's quite a wealth gap there, and hence the new economic policy in 1971. So the whole idea of the new economic policy in 1971 is to mitigate this particular wealth imbalance. So they have policies and stuff, and until today, of course the economic policy has been changed into new development policy, etc. And there are still some changes. In fact, back in 2011, if I can recall correctly, the late Prime Minister who recently passed away, Tun Abdullah, has actually abolished some requirement for Bumi Putra participation in the capital market, which has taken place. Yes, which has taken place, but there are Malay lobbyists that actually Malay group lobbyists that went that lobbied the government to suggest that, look, this has to do something. You still need to help them. So then, and hence we have now Teraju. So okay, Teraju. So to assist the small medium-sized Bumiputera firms. Okay. Now, so in this study we identify two groups. So we identify Bumiputera, which consists of Malays, indigenous people, orang asli, and the Indonesian people of East Malaysia, Iban and Karazhan. But for this study, we identify this group. We only identify this group, meaning that everyone who's not Bumiputera is considered as non-Bumiputera. It's considered as non-Bumiputera. Now, why do I say this is interesting? So if you so the Malaysian background actually allows us to do this rather comprehensively, but not really so much for the Indonesian capital market. So it's quite difficult for us, especially for us, for Malaysians or any other researcher outside of Indonesia, to identify various ethnic groups. So it's quite confusing. Although there are ways for Indonesians to do that themselves, but in terms of the research process of identifying directors in terms of certain groups, etc., certain ethnic groups, is largely very, very difficult. It's not really straightforward empirical method to identify them. Okay, of course you can identify female and male, but when it comes to ethnic groups of Indonesia, it's quite challenging. While having said that, when it comes to challenging, meaning that it opens up to a lot of ideas in terms of research. So if you look at this particular bit here now, so we have here in terms of the since 2004, making efforts to enhance female representation in public sector leadership position. It extended to private sector. And Malaysian Code of Corporate Governance introduced a stricter mandate in which they impose a 30% participation of female directors in the number. So by 2020, which is the data, the current numbers is at 26.4% female directors in the capital market among the directors in the listed company. Now, let me just have a look. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Okay, now I also mentioned earlier on, I mentioned about political connection. So I think in Indonesia is relatively very unique as well, especially when it comes to discussion, when it comes to military connections and military participation in the parliamentary system. So if you look at the paper by Fishman, for example, 2001, it's not here, it's not in the slides. Fishman 2001, it also discussed about the impact on firms connected to the late President Suharto and firm value, for example. There are numerous papers that investigated the links between this, especially when it comes to political connection in Indonesia, it's always linked at that time to firms that are connected to the late President Suharto. Okay, to the late President Suharto. And also now the recent papers, I've written a couple of papers on Indonesian setting, which I've investigated the impact of military connections on the capital market and military connections in Indonesia in capital market. So it is quite interesting when it comes to military connection in Indonesia because it's central to the parliamentary system. So and hence it has a more profound impact to the capital market. So unlike Indonesia, so Malaysia, for example, although we have former generals, um, uh, former admirals as what you call that, as parliamentary member, but it's not as prevalent. It's not as deeply rooted, I would say, compared to Indonesia. It's probably, I would say, insignificant numbers. Okay, now, all right, now, what is intersectional theory? What is intersectional theory? So what actually is it? So recognizes experiences are shaped by intersection of social identities, in our case, gender and ethnicity. So goes beyond analyzing individual attributes in isolation, and identities create unique overlapping bias and privilege. So for example, here, female Bumiputra CFOs face challenges arising from being both women and Bumiputra. So challenges from being both women and also a Bumiputra. Okay. No, so why is it really important to look at this? Why is it really important to look at this? So highlights how combined identities can lead to compounded disadvantage or amplified advantages. So it could be an advantage, it could be a good thing, or it could be a bad thing. So help understand the double jeopardy when biases related to multiple identities converge, reveals limitation of affirmative action in guaranteeing autonomy and influence. What would be the key takeaway? Provides a nuanced understanding of leadership. Recognizing identity is complex. Okay, recognizing identity is complex. Now, so here is our hypothesis development in terms of the female CFOs. So we divided that into two, which is the supply side argument and demand side argument. So most often, if you're into research in terms of research, most of the studies will probably be around 60-70%, or probably more than that, would use the supply side argument. So they're basically saying that having a female CFO is actually a good thing. Okay, female, based on resource-based theory, gender diversity enriches decision making, females generally exhibit greater risk aversion, and enhanced evidence also support this particular perspective. It's actually a good thing. Okay, but there's also an alternative bit of it, so alternative side of it, which is the demand side argument, which suggests that it's create external biases and structural barriers, and also glass ceiling effect. So now, female often encounters heightened scrutiny and qualification, for example, qualification and experience. So basically, what they're trying to say that they often scrutinize females CEOs or the female directors' qualification. Okay, now, so basically they have doubt regarding on their qualifications. Okay, on the female director's qualification. So Adam and Fang 2012 is a systematic skepticism. Appointments are based on external factors rather than their competence. So it's just basically a box ticking exercise, for example, just to fulfill certain quotas and certain CSR, for example, rather than appointing them based on competence. And Cantor 1997 and Guest 2019 suggest that this is a context of a tokenism as well. All right, now, so, however, we argue that organization and cultural shifts remove many of these barriers. So, for example, the initiative by the Malaysian government and Malaysian Code of Governance to improve the level of participation of female executives. So, we hypothesize the following: there is a positive relationship between female CFOs and investment efficiency. Now, what about ethnicity of female CFOs? So, previously we had a look at the gender of the CFO. Now we look at the ethnicity of a female CFO. So now, intersectional influence suggests that overlapping identities can create compounded biases and unique experiences. So female being Putra executive may face double jeopardy, biases linked to both their gender and ethnic identity. So the intersectional lens raised two contrasting possibilities. True. So the first one, being both female and Bui Putra, might amplify the positive leadership traits if cultural norms reinforce prudent behavior. Cultural norms reinforce prudent behavior. So in terms of cultural norm here, in terms of ethnicity here, primarily we use the idea of, here in this particular context, we use the Hofstede argument. So I'm sure some of you was involved in cultural studies do have read certain point regarding the Hofstede metrics on cultural diversity or cultural take on accounting practices. So here we argue that based on Hofstede, we suggest that it emphasizes harmony, risk aversion, and collective well-being. So basically, if this is the case, then it would amplify the positive behavior that we have observed earlier. So the positive relationship between female CFOs and investment managers is stronger for Bumiputera CFO, reflecting the reinforcing effects of culturally embedded risk aversion and transparency. Transparency. So this is the first intersectional lens that we have discussed. So now the second one, so it might magnify constraint if societal and social bias against each other combine, limiting their ability to influence fund outcome. So for example, appointments of Bumiputera directors could be largely ceremonial or box-ticking exercise. So the purpose of Bumiputera to private sectors has changed over the years, especially the establishment of NAP in 1971. So we don't really have concrete evidence to suggest that this is the case. We probably have some anecdotal evidence, yes. And then if you recall the paper that I've mentioned by White 2004, so we have companies who are controlled by the non-Bumiputera, mainly the Malaysian Chinese. So after independence, they need funding. They need contracts, they need government contracts. So in order for them to have access to those contracts and funding, they will need to collaborate with the government. So what the government actually asked them to do, okay, if you want that, can you please train one of our higher executive and have them, he or her, so him or her, in your company. So then that is the development of whole idea of the Bumiputera appointment in the capital market. Okay. Sorry guys, I just want to have a drink. All right, now, so the positive relationship between female CFOs and investment agency is weaker for Bumiputera CFO due to domestic external challenges, including political patronage and ceremonial appointments, which limit their strategic influence. So basically, it's like this. If we say that this is a political intervention based on Bumiputera values, then obviously it's going to limit the possible positive impact that a female CFOs could actually provide to the company. Okay. What time should I end this talk? Yeah. Sorry. 12:50. Anyone? Anyway, okay. Let me just now. What time should I end here, Harry? What time should I finish my talk?
Sorry, it's 11:45, Doctor. Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay. Another
In the next
11:45. Another 10 minutes.
Yeah.
10 minutes. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Now, so okay, I'm gonna just brief through the research method. Some of it is quite advanced, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll try to go this together. So we have chosen the Malaysian data. So basically, the data is basically Malaysian. Yeah. So if you look at the third point here, the identification of entity is by name, similar to Ismail and Abdul Wahab for 2024. Okay. Of course, if you want to identify whether it's a female or male, you can also use name, right? So in Malaysia, you can use bin or binti. Okay, I think you guys know that very well. So, and also you can look at the appearances. Okay. Now we do have issues. For example, what if a non-Muslim convert to a Muslim, as female non-Muslim convert into Muslim, and she wears hijab, and she will look like a Malay, for example. So her name will change, right? Her name will change. So from a Chinese name to a Malay name, correct? So, but there was a discussion about this, and then actually, if that is the case, then usually the surname, the previous surname of the lady, of the female director, will be there. So will be there. So for example, the previous name is Eileen, for example. I don't know, Eileen Lee, for example. The Chinese name is Eileen. Or I give an example. Now the new name is Fatima, for example. So then it will be Fatima Lee. So then it is still but so it is a female CFO, but not a Bimputra female CFO. You guys with me? Okay. So it's not, it's a bit clear. So okay, now so there were questions before, which is quite odd. What if the female looks like a male? So okay, which is a possibility, correct? So short hair, looks like a male. We don't classify that. We don't look into appearances. We don't do that. We just look at the name. So it's easily identifiable. Okay, all right. Okay, don't ask me about whether the name actually represent a male or a female. So, for example, we have names in the Malay custom that could actually represent both. For example, Fairuz, Fairuz, could be a male or female. Khairul could be also male or female. There's other examples out there that could be both. Okay, could be both. So, but don't ask me about that one because it's going to be very complex. Okay, sorry. So this is the regression. I use available data, CompStat Global and Orbis data. So this is a regression. So it's a very simple regression, but it's just the interaction name. So if you look at this, but sorry. So if you look at this particular regression, so we just ran an interaction. So someone asked us, why don't you just classify that particular person as both? Meaning that you classify one person as a female and based on the ethnic groups. So we actually did that. We have done that, but it does not. The result is very difficult to interpret. So if we have one female female Bhumiputra CFO as one, so the zeros, we don't have a direct explanation to it because it could represent male, could represent male non-Bhumiputra directors, male Bhumiputra. It could represent female non-Bhumiputra. So it creates a lot of issue when it comes to explaining the results of that particular operationalization of variable. Okay, now, all right, excuse me. So if you look at the results here, so you look at 34% of CFO is female, while 13% is Bhumiputra CFO. So it's not big. So there's not many Bhumiputra CFOs there. So it's only 13%. Okay, regardless of the gender. Okay, 31% of all directors are Bhumiputra, even that is quite small. So there are firms with 100% Bhumiputra directors, and there are 33.48% of sample firms which are connected, and this is higher than the one observed by Fasio's 2006 work. Okay. Now this is the univariate analysis. So what will be the differences in firm characteristics when we split the sample between female CFOs and male CFOs? So as you can see, male firms with female CFOs are more efficient, which is expected. More male CFOs, when we have more male CFOs than Bhumiputra firms, they are Bhumiputra. Firms with male CFOs have higher level of Bhumiputra directors as well. And firms with female CFOs are more connected, but the difference is insignificant. The difference is insignificant. Now, okay. Now, we also ran a univariate analysis for Bhumiputra CFO. So now, firms with Bhumiputra CFOs are less efficient. They are less efficient. Okay. So, okay. Oh, before that, a good example of a Bumiputra, Bumiputra is me. I'm a Bumiputra. So saya Melayu. So I'm afraid that you guys are not familiar with that. So I'm a Malay. Saya ni Melayu. So I'm a Bumiputra. So yeah. Okay. Yes. One would ask, oh no, that's is institutional question. So then how would you define, um, how do we classify a Malay? So another way of classifying a Malay is by their name. So basically, technically, if you are a Malay, you are technically a Muslim. So you're automatically a Muslim by Malaysian constitution. Probably not in Indonesia, but in Malaysia, it is automatically you are a Malay. You need to be considered as a Malay. So you have your identification card that is showing that you are a Muslim. Okay, so because you are a Malay. Okay, but okay, now do we have Buiputras, not Malays? Do we have Buiputras? They are not Muslim. Yes, so that's not a problem. So we have Orang Asli, which is the indigenous people. I've seen indigenous people whereby they live nearby my parents' place. They still practice sort of like a paganism. They have mosques, they have mosques, they have musalla and stuff, but some of them still, to a certain extent, practice paganism. Those people in the eastern states, like in Sabah and Sarawak, so not all of them are Muslim. So the Iban and Kadazan, some of them Muslim, but probably they are Christians. Okay, so I'm just to explain the situation here. So because there are multiple ways for us to identify whether you are a Malay or not. So yeah, okay. Now, so when we separate the sample, so we have higher number of Bumiputra directors on board, and they are more connected. So you would expect that. So you would expect that having a Bumiputra directors, based on our previous discussion on policies and stuff, they are more connected. They are more connected, okay, than those who actually have less non-Bumiputra directors. Okay, now, so this is the multivariate analysis. So if you look at the multivariate analysis here, so the rejects and supports for the H1. So there was a supply side argument for the um, female CFO. Now the negative coefficient for FSCFO and Bumi CFO supports H2B. Benefits of having female CFOs partially moderated by the cultural and systematic challenges settled by Mucha directors. So this is what our main results suggest. So if they are both, if the CFO is a female, then it's a Bumi Putra, then it has some systematic challenges. So it's okay. Now, anecdotally, is that a problem? Yes, actually, it is a problem. So we have had two cases recently. Oh my God, I did not share with you here. The first case was with Maybank. The second case was with the first case was with Maybank, and the second case was with I can't remember the name of the company, but both involve female CFOs, which is Abu Putra. Okay, which are Abu Putra. So the Maybank, was it Maybank? I can't remember now. I think it was Maybank and someone else. There's another company. So there's a lot of issues here pertaining to CFO. So another concern, another thing that I would like to mention regarding female CFOs is that they report to the CEO. So now there's a number of papers that discuss the hierarchical flow of decision when it comes to from the female CFOs and female CEOs and the CEOs and the CFOs. So you will see the challenges faced by CFOs, especially female CFOs, when they have to report to a male CEOs, for example. So there's always a concern there. There's always a concern there. I did not have that in this set of slides, and we actually presented that in our papers, one in our papers as well, as part of career concern. But the thing that we want to highlight here is the fact that there are systematic challenges in the background of Malaysia to prevent them from providing a full impact on the capital market. Okay, now, this is the shift in the CFO agenda. So when considering interaction, right? So you can see the when it comes to Bumi Putra, so there's a negative slope. So, all right, so memang ke bawah. So, okay, all right. Now we have here the additional analysis for Bumi Putra Majority Board. So if I just want to show you the next slide, which is the slope. Oh, where is it? Hey, it's gone. Sorry, guys. I thought I had it. So I just want to show you guys this one. So and so if you look at here, so if you look at the interaction of effect between general and stable particle connection status, if you look at the particle connected firms, is always at a negative slope. Okay, it's not meaning that it's not good. Okay. All right. Now I think I'm gonna just Hackman. I'm gonna stop there. I'm gonna just do the practical test. All right. Now, so the study investigate relationship between female CFOs efficiency and whether the density of CFOs matter. So we find result to support the appointment of female CFOs increase investment efficiency, and the positive result is weaker if the female CFOs is being put. So just one final thought before we have Q&A after this, Harry?
Yes, Doctor.
We have Q&A after this, right?
Yes,
We have
the session.
Okay, sorry. So now the reason why I wanted to share this paper is because it's very, very relevant and very, very interesting if someone here listening could actually try to replicate or adopt this approach for the Indonesian context. Because there's not many out there. In fact, there are of course there are cultural studies out there that involve Indonesia. There's a paper by Efrin and Hopper published in Management Accounting Research. AOS, sorry, National Accounting Society. So that's a very good paper, but they don't do this kind of research. They do a different thing. And then there are also cultural studies as well. And then Indonesia. One thing unique about Indonesia, you have diverse background. You have diverse cultural background. So I was in Bali. I was in Bali, and my friend gave me endek instead of batik. So that itself is just representing a good, cultural. And then it's so different when I was in Bali, and of course Balinese are, in fact, all Indonesians are nice people. But that's the thing. So if you go to Aceh, for example, then you have this particular context of Sharia compliance, higher compliance to Sharia rules and regulations. So we don't have that. We don't have that in Malaysia. We don't have that in Malaysia. So but if you could capitalize on this particular institutional background, institutional context, right? Then it is going to be a very good, solid paper, solid research, which have have a lot of contribution to the Indonesian capital market. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Evazel, for that insightful and thought-provoking presentations. Actually, this will give us the idea, actually, Doctor, and then I will be the one who will replicate this idea. So allow me to briefly summarize the key takeaway from today's session so we can all leave with the main point fresh in our mind. So from the study we have just heard, it is clear that appointing female CEOs can significantly improve a company investment efficiency. Yet the benefit is not equally felt in all contexts. It becomes weaker when the female CFO is Bumi Putra, pointing to the presence of structural and cultural barriers that can limit strategic influence. So from a policy perspective, simply achieving a 30% gender representation target is not enough. To fully capture the benefit of the diversity, appointment needs to be based on merit. Political interference should be minimized, and companies must foster inclusive corporate culture where diverse leaders can truly make an impact. So there will be so this will be a Q&A session, Dr. Evezel, but I will be the first audience who will have a question if you can allow me, Doctor.
But yeah, before that, Harry, I just want to share everyone that one of my PhD students here is also in the audience.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, who happens to be Indonesian. So Yayu is here. So
Okay, so
Yayu Putri Senjani. Now I just wanted to introduce her to the
okay,
audience. Thank you. Okay,
welcome.
go ahead with the question.
Okay, Doctor, this is very quite a technical question, but this will be bring benefit for us. So apologize if I missed this in your earlier explanation. How about if a CFO is ethnically Malay but yet not a Muslim? Would you they still be classified as Bumi Putra?
No,
So,
if you are ethnically Malay. So what was your question again? Sorry.
the CFO is ethnically Malay but not a Muslim. Is it
No,
classified?
you can't. No,
Okay,
once you are ethnically, you are automatically a Muslim.
okay,
By definition, you need to be a Muslim.
okay.
Sorry. Let me rephrase that. By constitution,
Because
you need to be a Muslim. Sorry. Okay.
Dr. Eviso, one more questions. I'm quite
Sure.
curious about this. It seems the identification of whether CFO is Bumi Putra, you mentioned before, it could be by binti and also physical appearance and religions.
Correct.
Okay, so what is actually a specific data input you are included for the statistical analysis?
What do you mean by data statistical analysis?
Like we put example in Indonesia context, if you are Muslim, so we put a dummy variable like one as a,
Correct.
so what in your context, what is your specific data input for
So
operationalization?
the same.
Oh,
It's a dummy variable. It's
okay,
a dummy variable based on what you have mentioned earlier.
okay,
So we use name. So we use the name. We have the appearance because it's all available data.
okay,
Available. Sorry, the the appearance is available.
okay,
So we can actually see them in the annual reports.
okay, yes,
And to a certain extent, I don't think so that is the case, but to a certain extent, some information can be retrieved from LinkedIn, but
okay,
we probably did not use those kind of information. Yes, but it's a dummy variable. Harry, it's a dummy variable. Thank you.
okay. Thank you, Dr. Avesa. So I'm also welcoming one of the student, Dr. Avesa, right, in our webinar. One of your
Yeah, one of my PhD
okay.
students is here. So
So
yeah.
welcome to ICMA and welcome to this webinar. Okay, so Dr. Rizal, that will be all my questions. I'm very curious about the operationalization, and then I will
Okay.
open the session for the audience. If there's any questions, could you raise your hand or might be on the chat box? Is there any questions? In the meantime, Dr. Rizal, thank you so much for this idea. Also, you're mentioning before regarding the military, how they connected to the parliamentary. That will be also insight for us when we are going to do this research, especially to our presidents right now, background in military background.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any questions? I will count to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Since Dr. Rizal seems.
Nah. Any questions? Jangan malu ya kalau tak boleh. You can ask in Malay, no problem.
Oh yeah. So it opens for the audience if you want to ask a question in Bahasa or in Malay.
Investment efficiency represents sustainable investment. I don't have Masina. I don't really have a good question, a good answer to that one. So it just is a measure of a measure of investment efficiency. So whether it's a sustainable investment, I do not know. I wouldn't have a good answer to that question, Masina. So I'm sorry. Yeah.
Actually, Doctor, if I can lead this question, what is the proxy for the investment efficiency for your variable? Oh, see.
So yeah. Okay. To answer that question, answer question by Masina, I do not have a good definition on a sustainable investment. So I don't have that. So but if you if you want to operationalize sustainable development, sustainable investment, so then there is of course there should be a model to suggest that the investment that you have made or the level of you have made is sustainable enough. So in the future. So I wouldn't have a good answer for that one. So but it's oh my god, I don't have the definition here at the moment with me, but it's a deviation from oh my god, let me just have a look here. Sekejap ya. Just bear with me, just uh, sekejap. Allahu Akbar.
Dokter,
Ya,
Assalamualaikum.
sekejap.
Oke,
Waalaikumsalam. Sekejap ya, sekejap. Just one.
bentar Bu Masina, beliau lagi cari informasi sepertinya Bu Masina.
Yeah, sekejap. Okay, now it's a standard deviation number. It's the estimation model, which is a regression that involves total investment against firm's growth of Tobin's Q. So the residual is the investment efficiency. Was it Masina just now that voice something? Was it Masina?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, Masina.
And also she's asking, Doctor, from the
Yeah.
CFO leadership, is there any particular criteria should be implemented on this research?
Oh yeah, there's many.
Okay.
There's many. So thank you for picking that up. So we did not consider that in the paper at the moment. We should have those in the paper. So so for example, you have a lot of other characteristics of the CFO leadership. Education, experience. So those are other characteristics of the CFO. Is that what you're referring to, Masina?
Yes, Doctor. Assalamualaikum. I would like to concern about two things from your title and the proxy you are using in this paper. First, regarding with the sustainable investment, I might think that this is the dependent variables of your research, but if not mistaken, I see that you are using investment efficiency. Is it kind of a proxy of your sustainable investment that you are using? That's the first question. And the second one is related with the CFO leadership, the wording of CFO leadership. Is there any criteria that you might apply in this research regarding with the leadership? What is the criteria that you implement? Is there only that the woman is in charge in the CFO, or any particular criteria of the leadership that they have to have in this research?
Okay, so thank you, Masina. So the first question, in terms of sustainable development, sustainable proxy, I wouldn't, as I said earlier, I don't really have a good answer to that one. But my paper has to do with investment efficiency rather than sustainable investment. I've not come across any papers. Maybe it's probably lack of my very limited knowledge on this particular area. So, and the second question pertaining to the criteria of the leadership. So at the moment, we just consider that. We just consider them whether they sit as a CFO. So in this particular context, so we just in terms of organization, so we just consider a particular individual, whether it is the female and the ethnicity is the Boeing Putra. So that's it. So but if you look at the other characteristics that we should consider, then that's a different context that we need to consider education, experience, and there's probably another one. that we need to consider. We also actually in the paper we considered the tenure. So how long that particular individual is actually served or currently serving as a CFO. So yeah, when it comes, do I answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a several. So if you look at the context of the characteristic, so I think I can. Not sure whether I can share this one. So sekejap eh. Yeah, I can just share sekejap. Sekejap. Can you see this? Can you see that?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Can you see now? Oh, share. Sorry, belum. Sorry.
Not yet,
Can
Doctor.
you see now? Yeah. Can you see now?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, sekejap. Yeah, there. Here. See the context of tokenism here. So that is why papers. That's why it's very important to consider all other characteristics of the CFOs to overcome this issue. There.
What do you mean by tokenism, sir?
So basically, they're just there because of that. So we need to get rid of. So when you do, they are there because they are female. You with me? They are there as a director as a female. Okay. So but when we run a regression, when we run a regression analysis, I'm not sure whether this is there. So where's the miracle? So when we run a regression analysis here, so can you see that, Masina?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we run a regression here, so there's only two there's only two CFOs characteristics that we have considered, which is female and also being putra. Yeah. So we have not considered any other characteristics. So we want to have that to avoid saying that this is part of tokenism. So it's a bit. I'm not sure whether I'm doing it right or not, but we need to have all these characteristics to suggest that we have considered all other factors to not suggest that this appointment has to do with tokenism. Okay. So then we can get rid of all possible other factors that they have considered to appoint the female CFO. So if we have here like female CFOs education or experience, we have them as part of our control variables. So that when we can safely say that the results will actually hold. Hello?
Yes, Doctor.
Yeah. I
Doctor.
hope we I think I do hope I can how can I stop sharing? So am I still sharing?
Yes, Doctor, you are still sharing the article paper.
Yeah, but how do I stop sharing? Okay, now stop sharing. Okay. So any other questions? So this is, I mean, the whole idea is whether you can actually do this in the Indonesian context. So if you can, so yeah, alhamdulillah. So it's quite good.
Okay.
I think Masina, if you could do this, I mean, this is quite interesting. Cuma data lah, so it's a problem. I think.
One more, Dokter.
Yeah.
Pak Hari.
Monggo Bu, masih ada satu lagi Bu ya.
Yeah, about ethnicity that you mentioned, about ethnicity, what is the role of ethnicity in your research? Is it control variables?
No, it's not. It's a purely one of the variables, one of the important variables. So we are saying, so basically
your main
the
model,
ethnicity
right?
here,
Because I didn't see any from your hypothesis too, right?
Yep.
Okay.
What you did not see what?
I didn't see any ethnicity mentioned in your hypothesis. I forgot.
Oh no, it's in the hypothesis. Cuma the ethnicity ni, they are basically two bits. Basically, we are trying to make it simply. Okay. So one, we look at the cultural perspective. The other one, we look at political connection perspective or Putra perspective. So cultural is culture. So right, I think that's a bit clear. So we have different culture. Malay, Chinese, Indians, we have different cultures. No matter how you put at it, you have different culture. So even in Indonesia, you have different cultures as well. So that's pretty understandable. Then we also argue that um, because of political intervention, because of economic policies, government policies that have been tailored, made because of ethnicity, are made on ethnicity ground. So we suggest that these companies who actually have Bhiputra CFOs or Bhiputra directors would be impacted by these policies. So that is the two bit of ethnicity, two reason why two competing arguments pertaining to ethnicity here in Malaysia. So this is not uncommon. This is not uncommon. There's so many papers. If you read my paper in Asian Review of Accounting 2015, I discussed this thoroughly. My paper published in Journal of International Accounting Research (JIAR) 2021 also discussed this thoroughly. So we differentiate between what is the role of MCT here. So we don't, of course, very common in Malaysian studies. In fact, probably 60, 80%, 90% of them probably discuss culture, probably use ethnicity as a proxy to culture. So the same goes to Indonesia. I don't know how you can do that. There is a way for you to do that. So you can look at geographical location, for example, to discuss social impact. Sorry, ethnicity impact. Sorry, cultural impact. Astaghfirullah. So it's a cultural impact. So then there are papers out there to discuss about on how certain culture would approach business dealings, for example. We have that. We have those papers in Malaysia. I'm not aware of any papers that discuss that in Indonesia, because of course I don't read those papers, so I'm sure you guys read every paper. But so there is a one way of looking at it. Yeah. Any other questions?
Okay, is there any other questions? So it seems I will, since there is already 12, almost exceed our schedule. So thank you once again, Dr. Evezel, for sharing. Okay, it seems still from Ms. Masina. Thank you, Ms. Masina. Thank you once again, Dr. Evezel, for sharing such valuable insight and for engaging so openly in these discussions. Your perspective have given us a deeper understanding of how diversity in CFO leadership can influence investment decision in today's digital era. So also, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all participants for your active engagement, thoughtful questions, and also for making decisions truly dynamic and insightful. So with that, I will now return to the screen to our Master of Ceremony to continue with the program. Thank you once again, Dr. Faisal. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Effie.
Thank you, everyone.
No problem.
Thank you so much, Dr. Aloysius, for the moderating this session. So let me express our gratitude to senior lecturer, Dr. Efizal Aswadi Abdul Wahab. Thank you for sharing your expertise and insight for knowledge with us today. And also thank you, Dr. Aloysius Harimukti, for excellent moderation of our and also all of the organizing committee. Thank you for organizing this event, and all the participants. Thank you for your active participation and thoughtful question, and from Dr. Masina and all the participants. And before we end our session, let us have a documentation session. Please turn on your camera for our photo group. All right. Okay, maybe Bu Nadia can counting for the documentation session.
All right, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna take some screenshots of our Zoom. Can everyone please open the camera and smile to your camera and hold while I take the screenshot of my screen ya. Okay. Keep your smile. Tahan semuanya. Okay. Hold your smile. Wait. Oh my goodness. Still hold. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Moving on to the next page. Okay. Still keep your smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that is all. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Bu
Yeah.
Nadia,
Yeah.
for
Thank
helping
you.
us documentation. For information, for the everyone to wanting the certificate, please fill out the attendance for in the chat, and certificate will be proceed with the 2 weeks. Information will be shared to our WhatsApp group. So everyone, this is conclude our icma for anniversary class lectures. We hope today's session has a valuable for your professional development. I'm Elga Yulindisti, representing of the organization committee. We apologize for any shortcoming, and I hope the knowledge that gained today will be benefit for everyone. So thank you so much for joining us today. Have a good day. Thank you so much,
Thank
Doctor.
you. Assalamualaikum. Have a
Uh,
nice weekend.
yeah,
Assalamualaikum.
yeah, thank you.